Johnson's Epstein nightmare. Shutdown ends. But the files are coming, and MAGA hiding something. Nasty. Hold onto your popcorn, folks, because the longest government shutdown in U.S. history just limped to a close like a hungover elephant. And Speaker Mike Johnson is left holding the bag, stuffed with Jeffrey Epstein's dirty laundry. We're talking 41 excruciating days of closed national parks, furloughed feds, and a Capitol Hill that's felt more like a ghost town than the people's house. But here's the punchline. As the Senate finally coughed up a funding bill on November 10, extending the government's leash through January 30, the real fireworks aren't over the budget. No, sir. They're exploding over those sealed Epstein files, and Johnson's desperate delay tactics just blew up in his pious face. With Rep.Elect Adelita Grijalva set to get sworn in this week, after a record 48-day stall that's got even Republicans muttering crazy. The discharge petition hits 218 signatures. Boom. Floor vote incoming. And if those documents drop, buckle up, because the orange Hitler's name isn't just whispering through the grapevine, it's screaming from the flight logs. This isn't governance. It's a cover-up comedy, and Johnson's the straight man who's forgotten his lines. Let's paint the scene, because this saga deserves the full Technicolor treatment. Picture mid-September 2025. The fiscal year deadline ticks down like a bomb in a bad spy flick, and Congress, bless their gridlocked hearts, can't agree on a damn thing. Democrats dig in for essentials, extending those Affordable Care Act subsidies that keep 20 million Americans from choosing between groceries and gallbladders, reining in executive overreach on spending, and plugging Medicaid holes that the poorest families are drowning in. Republicans, led by Johnson's merry band of MAGA loyalists, fire back with stopgap resolutions that are about as substantive as a tweet storm, full of bluster, zero follow-through. The result? Lights out on October 1. Feds go unpaid, IRS refunds pile up like forgotten laundry, veteran services hit pause, and the economy bleeds an estimated $10 billion a week. Johnson's response: keep the House in recess longer than a bad family vacation. We've done our job. He preaches from his Louisiana pulpit as if dodging responsibility is a biblical virtue. Spoiler, it's not. Proverbs 14:23 slaps back hard. All hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. Mike, buddy, your talk's bankrupting the nation. But wait, enter the Epstein elephant in the room, because why settle for fiscal farce when you can toss in a sex trafficking scandal? Jeffrey Epstein, that slimy financier who turned Little Cent James into a predator's playground, didn't just die by suicide in 2019. Or so the DOJ insists, despite the orange Hitler's conspiracy cackles. He left behind a vault of federal files, depositions dripping with depravity, emails that could curdle milk, and a Rolodex that reads like a who's who of the wicked. The Justice Department's hoarded these gems since their epic 2008 fumble, a sweetheart plea deal that let Epstein slap wrists while victims wept. Fast forward to 2025, and a bipartisan discharge petition, spearheaded by Kentucky's own rogue Republican Thomas Massie and California's Ro Khanna, aims to pry that vault open. No more redactions, no more excuses, just raw, unfiltered truth for the survivors screaming for justice. By early October, the petition's a signature supernova. Every House Democrat signs on, plus a brave baker's dozen of Republicans who have apparently grown spines overnight. That's 217 warm bodies, one shy of the 218 needed to bulldoze Johnson's Rules Committee and ram the bill to the floor. Enter Adelita Grijalva, the Arizona firebrand who clinched her dad's old 7th District seat in a September 23 special election. 70% landslide in a 60% Latino stronghold that's bluer than a Smurf convention. She's pledged her ink faster than you can say oath of office. But Johnson, crickets. He's parked her on the sidelines for 48 days, shattering the modern record, Sorry, Jimmy Gomez. Your 35-day wait in 2017 was child's play. Why the holdup? Johnson bleats about the shutdown, can't convene till the Senate does its job, but that's thinner than his family values facade. Historical precedent. Speakers have sworn in newbies during recesses since forever. It's not rocket science, it's democracy. Arizona's even suing his sorry ass, with AG Chris Mays filing papers that scream constitutional violation. This is an abuse of power. Grijalva fires back, her voice a velvet-gloved steel fist. My constituents deserve a voice, not a veto from the speaker's ego. And oh, the bipartisan backlash. It's chef's kiss levels of schadenfreude. Even GOP defectors like Massey are piling on. Why are we in recess? Because the day we go back, I've got 218 votes for the Epstein discharge. He blasts on X, calling the stall embarrassing. Raw story dubs it a crazy ploy, with Republicans turning on Johnson like wolves scenting weakness. MSNBC's op-ed, a savage takedown. Johnson's plan to keep the House away is backfiring spectacularly, deepening suspicions that the White House is burying bones. Chuck Schumer piles on. Johnson cares more about protecting Epstein files than Americans. Hell, Arizona sense. Ruben Gallego and Mark Kelly cornered him in the halls, demanding answers. His reply: red herring, distraction. Yeah, Mike, like a fox guarding the henhouse calling the hounds paranoid. Peel back the sanctimonious layers, and this reeks of self-preservation for Johnson and his MAGA overlords. The orange Hitler, fresh off his 2024 triumph, has peddled the big lie that Epstein's saga is a Democrat hoax. All while his admin slow-walked releases and amplified suicide truther nonsense. Remember the flight logs. 7 jaunts on the Lolita Express, including that infamous 2002 tarmac chat where he gushed, "Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with." Phone slips, party pics, that creepy. "I'd date Ivanka if she weren't my daughter" quip. It's all there, orbiting like guilty satellites. And the donor web. Mar-a-Lago mixers where Epstein's shadow slithered, whispers of introductions to terrific people. Johnson's oversight committee dribbled out crumbs, a naughty birthday doodle from the orange Hitler to Jeff, because why not personalize the perversion? But the meat, locked tighter than Fort Knox. Protecting victims. Johnson intones, but victims groups like the Epstein Victims Compensation Program aren't buying. This is revictimization by red tape. Zoom out, and the shutdown's just the smokescreen. Senate GOP boss John Thune played hardball, forcing 11 failed CR votes to bleed Democrats dry on ACA subsidies. Those enhanced tax credits expiring December 31, poised to jack premiums sky high in red states, where enrollments boomed post-ACA. 8 Dems defected for the final 60-40 passage, punting health care to a future vote that Johnson coyly dodges. Not committing either way. The bill reverses furloughs, back pays everyone, but skips the subsidies, leaving $20 million twisting in the wind. Trump's White House nods approval, calling it a positive development. But whispers of snap cuts linger, with the orange Hitler pushing to freeze food aid for $42 million amid the chaos. Economists howl. This brinkmanship's cost billions, eroded trust, and painted Republicans as the shutdown villains in polls, even as blame spreads like spilled ink. Now, as the dust settles, House vote eyed for Wednesday, lawmakers scrambling back amid TSA trickle-down woes, the Epstein petitions the ticking bomb. Grijalva's booked for D.C., her swearing-in a foregone conclusion now that Johnson's cornered. If I were Republican, I'd be seated already. She quips, channeling her late dad Rawls' progressive roar. Once inked, she tips the scales. Petition passes, files flood the floor. Johnson's already waving the white flag. If it hits 218, it comes, he told Politico, voice flat as day-old soda. But on CNN November 10, he shrugged it off as a moot point, like dismissing a hurricane as light drizzle. Moot, Tell that to survivors like Virginia Jeffer, who have battled for this sunlight since Epstein's empire crumbled. The stakes, cataclysmic for the GOP circus. Those files aren't just dirt, they're dynamite. Beyond the orange Hitler's cameos, expect shrapnel for MAGA-adjacent elites, donors dodging spotlights, allies in the terrific Guy echo chamber. Johnson's evangelical armor cracks here. The guy who thumped Bibles for speakerhood now shields a scandal that mocks every protect the innocent sermon. His approval's cratered below 30% among indies, Freedom Caucus wolves circling like they did McCarthy. Post-shutdown, committees reboot dormant, but Epstein's the albatross, stock trading scandals, health deadlines, all paling next to this moral meteor. Let's gut punch the gravity. This isn't gotcha journalism, it's justice overdue. Epstein's web ensnared the vulnerable, teens lured with promises, silenced by NDAs and threats, while power players partied. The 2008 deal, a DOJ disgrace under the orange Hitler's early orbit. Full release means reform, tighter trafficking laws, victim funds without strings, accountability that bites billionaires. Johnson's delays. They echo the enablers, the ones who looked away for access and ambition. As lawmakers trudge back, Johnson urging right now returns amid flight fiascos. The House stirs like a beast from slumber. Grijalva strides in, petition ignites, files unleash. Will it kneecap the orange Hitler's hoax narrative, expose the rot in his court? Force Johnson to gavel through his own undoing? One thing's sure. In this 2025 theater of the absurd, Mike's Epstein bind isn't a footnote, it's the finale. And America. We're front row, cheering for the curtain call. But don't stop at the scandal. Let's dissect the human toll, because numbers don't bleed, people do. That shutdown, over 4,000 feds laid off per the American Federation of Government Employees, hitting Maryland and Virginia hardest where Uncle Sam employs hordes. Military paychecks. Shuffled from Pentagon slush funds, leaving active-duty families rationing ramen while brass debates. Snap's 42 million users, teetering on Trump's freeze threats as he brags on Fox about breaking Schumer. ACA cliff. Premiums could spike 50% without subsidies, per experts, slamming Trump-voting heartlands where sign-ups surged. Johnson's no-negotiation stance. Pure MAGA muscle flex, but polls finger Republicans for the pain, eroding that post-election glow. Grijalva's limbo, a microcosm of disenfranchisement. Her district, Tucson's working-class core, immigrant dreams woven into the fabric, voted her in to fight exactly this, power hoarding the powerful. Unlawful breach of the Constitution. Her suit thunders, and legal eagles nod. Speakers wield oath power, but courts loathe meddling unless it's blatant like this. Johnson's Pelosi precedent? A cherry-picked dodge, Nancy waited for sessions, but never weaponized recess like this. It's exclusion by exhaustion, silencing a voice before it sings. X is ablaze, too, raw rage from the trenches. Mike Johnson's pedophile protection program, one user snarls, tying the delay to darker MAGA whispers. Arf, arf, good dog. Another mocks Johnson's Trump leash chafing raw. Survivors advocates amplify Ghislaine Maxwell's clemency pleas. She deserves company. One journalist blasts, demanding co-conspirators face the music. It's visceral, viral, a digital drumbeat drowning Johnson's platitudes. Forward march. Wednesday's House vote seals the shutdown's grave, but resurrects Epstein's ghost. If files flow, expect headlines that humble empires, bipartisan indictments perhaps, but MAGA the bullseye. Johnson's tenure, teetering on this tightrope, one slip from the caucus coup. For victims, it's vindication. For democracy, a detox. In the end, this isn't Johnson's headache, it's America's wake-up. Power unchecked breeds monsters. Time to unleash the truth, Mike, or slink away with the rest of the enablers. By Santiago, D.C., Maria, November 11, 2025. Hash Epstein files unleashed, hash Johnson shutdown fail, hash Gridjalver rising, hash MAGA Epstein cover-up, hash transparency triumph, hash orange Hitler exposed, hash house reckoning, hash victim justice now.